Hello children. In the last module we had discussed about the non-conventional sources of the energy. Conventional sources, that is the um, fossil fuels and the thermal power plant and the petroleum, that is the extraction of the petroleum. In this module we shall talk about the hydropower plants, that is again the conventional sources of the energy, and we shall also talk about the improvements in the technology for using conventional sources, like in the case of biomass or the biogas, and the wind energy, of course. We shall also talk about the alternative sources of the energy, like in where improvements can be done in the technology. There is an example can be taken over here, that is about the usage of the solar cooker, children. How the solar cooker works, what are the principles on which it runs, or how do they produce the food, like converting the solar energy into the heat or the chemical energy, we can say. Now let us first of all discuss about the hydroelectric power plants. The hydroelectric power plants, they are the traditional sources of the energy, wherein they use the kinetic energy of the flowing water or the potential energy of a water which is being stored at a height, children. Now this power plants, they convert the potential energy to the kinetic energy and the electrical energy at the last, we can say. Now what do they do, children? That is, the dams are being constructed to contain the flowing river water. This water has a large amount of potential energy, children. Once this potential energy, the energy which is being stored in the water, it is being released from a certain height, so that the flowing water rotates the turbine, and this turbine in turn, we can say, generates the electricity. Now there are very few waterfalls which could be used for the sources of the potential energy, and for that reason hydropower plants are being associated with the dams, children. Now we all know that a large number of, we can say, hydroelectric power plants are now, we can say, built across all over the world, we can say. But there are some advantages with the hydroelectric power plants and some disadvantages also. Meaning, the advantage is that if the power plant is being constructed, then the electricity compensation can be done, and a large amount of water can be stored, which can be used in the summer season for that by the farmers and the other people. But the disadvantage is that the people, those who are living in the nearby areas, have a threat of, we can say, flood and the other things, that is, the vegetation can be lost of that people, so they have to shift from one place to another. Now let us talk about the schematic diagram of the power plant, the hydroelectric power plant, children. Now as you can see in the picture, children, there is a large reservoir of the water being stored, and through the intake the water is being flowed down through a height. Now when the water flows, it passes through the penstock. Now what is a penstock? It's a type of canal or a tube-like structure from where the water passes. Now this water in turn rotates the turbine. This turbine, that is the kinetic energy, is being generated by the turbine by the flowing water, and this turbine and the generator, we can say, it converts the kinetic energy into, we can say, electrical energy. Now once this electrical energy is being collected, this electrical energy is being stored in the power station, that is the electrical systems. Once this electrical or the electricity is being generated, it is being passed on to the high tensile cables to the power stations, that the conversion of the other type of the electrical signals or the electrical energy is being converted, and after that this electrical energy is being passed on. Now if you look carefully, this water which is being passed through the downstream outlet, we can say, can be used it again by gaining the water back again to the what, children? That is the reservoir. So this is all about the typical, we can say, the power plant or the hydro power plant, children. I hope you understand this and go through this picture once again so that it can be understood very perfectly, children. Now, the next topic that we are going to study is about the biomass energy, children. Now, we know that wood is being used as a fuel for a long time, but if we want to keep continue using the wood, then we have to cut down the trees. In that case, it cannot be possible because in the other way we are harming our environment, children. So the best method is the using of the biomass energy. Now, what does it do? It is being or it uses the residue of the living organism and the excrete or the excretory products. It is a biodegradable material, that is the raw material that we use. It's a renewable sources of energy, and it turns the organic waste matter into inorganic and the sources of the, what you can say, the heat energy. Now, it is very much found in abundance near the forest and the farms, children, and in particularly in the villages wherein you can get the residue of the living organisms such as the excrete of the cows and the buffaloes. Now, um, now as you can see in the picture, children, this is the typical biogas plant. In this, we use the excreta of the cow dung and the various plant materials like the residues after harvesting the crops, vegetable waste, and the sewage, which are being decomposed in the absence of oxygen to give the biogas, we can say, children. Now, since the starting material of this biogas plant is the cow dung, it is also known as the gobar gas, children. Now, see, this gobar gas has a dome-like structure built with the bricks, we can say, that is known as the digester, we can say. Now, the slurry of the cow dung and the water is being made in mixing with the tank from where it is being fed into the digester. And this digester is a sealed chamber in which there is no oxygen channel, that you need to keep in mind. Now, anaerobic microorganism, we can say, they do not require oxygen, and they break down this, we can say, complex compounds of the cow dung slurry and the other materials and to, we can say, simple inorganic. Now, it takes few days for the decomposition process to be complete, and once it is being completed, children, the gases like the methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and the hydrogen sulfide are being produced. I repeat, that is the methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and the hydrogen sulfide gases are being produced, children. Now, this biogas is being stored in the gas tank, we can say, above the digester, from which they are being drawn through the pipes, we can say, for the use, we can say. Now, it is an excellent, we can say, plant which contains about 75% of the methane, and it also burns without smoke, we can say, and it leaves no, we can say, residue, or we can say residue like the ashes in the wood, we can say charcoal in the coal burning. Now, the slurry which is being left behind, it is used for the manures in the farms as their source of good nutrients in the nitrogen and the phosphorus. So I hope you are clear with the biogas plant and the working of the, we can say, the biogas plant, children. Now, the next is the wind energy, children. Now, what do you mean by wind, children? Wind is nothing but the difference in air which causes the winds to blow, children. Now, this wind energy, what it does is that the windmills, especially, they take the kinetic energy of the wind, which are used to rotate the blades of the windmills, and in turn they are being fitted with the turbines that generates the electricity. But there is only one limitation of the wind energy, is that a constant wind should be flow, and the wind velocity should be 15 km per hours for the turbines to rotate, children. And the other one is that it can be only installed at a high altitudes. It cannot be installed in a lower delta regions or the plain fertile land, children. It should have a mountain or a slope, children. Now, as you can see, this is the typical diagram of the windmill. These are the blades. These blades, they rotate at we can say when the wind comes at a speed of velocity of 15 kilometer per hour, we can say. Once this blade rotates, these blades are being fitted with the gearbox. This gearbox in turn, they generate the kinetic energy, and in turn is attached with the what, children? That is the generator. This generator, we can say, will convert the wind energy into the, we can say, electrical energy, and in turn they will be stored in the turbines. These turbines will produce the electrical energy, and we can say they are being transmitted to the power cables, and after that we can have the electricity from the production of the windmills, children. Now moving on to the next topic, that is the alternative or the non-conventional sources of the energy. Now we all know with the technological progress, our demands for energy increases day by day. As the demand increases, we should think of the alternate sources. Now, while thinking of the alternative sources, we should keep in mind that the resources that we use, that should last for a longer period of time and should not get exhausted, and we should select those sources wherein the environment should not be harmed or the environment should not be polluted, children. So amongst them, the first topic that we shall now discuss for today is about the solar energy and the practical applications of the solar energy wherein it can be used for the human consumptions and its use, children, we can say. Now, solar energy. See, we are all familiar with these words, children. Now, sun has been radiating an enormous amount of energy at the present rate for nearly 5 billion years, and it will continue to do so. Now, only small part of the energy reaches in the Earth's surface, and it is quite astonishing that India, especially, receives this energy equivalent to 5 trillion kilowatt, children. And if we do use it, it can be of great use for the human mankind, children. Now amongst this, we have a practical applications of the working of the solar cooker, we can say. Now if you look at this diagram about the solar cooker and how the solar cooker works, it's a rectangular box type structure, children, which has the reflector first of all, then the glass or the plastic cover, and the cook pot in which we kept the food that we have to cook, and the black color interior. Now black color is used so as because it's a good absorber of the heat energy, we can say. Now if you look carefully, the reflector is being kept at an angle of 45, we can say, so that the maximum absorption of the solar energy takes place. Now this solar energy gets concentrated to the cook pot, we can say. Now in turn it will heat up the whole of the colored interior black part that you can see, children. And when it is being done, after we can say 2 to 3 hours, your food gets cooked and you can enjoy having this food without consuming of the LPG and the other sources of the energy, children. Now let us see about the advantages and the disadvantages of the solar cooker. Now the advantages is that they do not require any fuel like LPG, CNG or PNG fuels are not being required, children. They are even used to cook, what you can say, boil the water that can be used inside the, what you can say, the cook pot, so wherein the water can be boiled, children. Now it also saves times wherein it is useful wherein an individual has to make a lot of meals, like in example, you have a lot of guests coming at your home to eat a meal. So in that case, you can cook your dal or the rice in the cook pot in the solar cooker, children. But on the other hand, there are disadvantages also. That is, they do not work at night. So in the evening time, you cannot have it later in the after evening. They require constant attendance while cooking, and the other thing is that they require the level land, meaning mountainous or the upside down terrains cannot be used, so the uneven surface, the concentration of the solar energy cannot be traced. And some women, they like to sit while cooking, so in that case it is not being used. So it's a disadvantages of that, children. So you all must be clear with the topic today, children. Thank you.